Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Nimpulse Plays, where we're going to be doing another 10-minute tryout, this time in Dicey Dungeons. I have played a little bit of Dicey Dungeons before, so you will see some existing progress. For instance, I've unlocked a few characters, and you can see I've unlocked some episodes here and there. But for this one, I think I'm just going to help demonstrate what you can do in 10 minutes in Dicey Dungeons. Let's start with a nice, fairly low difficulty approach, and just see where we go from there. So as soon as I hit start, we're going to go. 3, 2, 1, go. Tonight on Dicey Dungeons, we join together to watch an inevitable failure. Alright. So there's a trapdoor which leads us to our next level, and then there's also a treasure chest. Let's go for the treasure chest. So, the conceit of Dicey Dungeons is that you use dice to activate your abilities, and the dice are randomly rolled every turn. So, there's also abilities to allow you to reroll dice. For now, this just means whatever's in this box as a dice value is going to be the damage. So, put a 6 in there, we deal 6 damage. Abilities are one-time use unless they say otherwise. And you get new dice at the start of every turn. So sometimes might as well just use abilities where you can. Alrighty. We might as well try to reroll. There you go, we got 6, and that's a kill, a win. And that's where we're at. Immediate gameplay, immediate roguelike approach, very little story. This is a Dicey dungeon, and we are dice. So this is a new skill card that we picked up. Toxic Ooze, we do dice amount of damage. On a 6, we add 2 to that poison. We might get an opportunity to show it off. See if we reroll. Try rerolling again. Okay, so we have 6. So if we deal 6 damage, and then we add 2 poison. Poison, I think, triggers at the start of their turns. And then I just do this, and it's irrelevant anyway. But we want to see how the poison works, so we'll just reroll this and end our turn. Yep, start of their turn, it goes through. So now we have a limit break as well, which I can show you in the next combat. We get an extra dice. So, the more you level up, the more dice you get, the stronger you are, because the more dice you have to spend. Behold, a wizard! So what's our limit break? We double our next action. So, if I click this, which means I now have Fury, this counts as equipment, and you can see the next equipment will be used twice. So if I put 6 in here, this is going to do 12 damage and add on 4 poison. There you go. Now we do this amount of damage, and then we end our turn. So you can see each of the enemies has their own kind of set of unique equipment, some of them harder than others. Alright. So, if this is the way out, this little trapdoor here, it becomes a case of, do we go for, the apple, which gives us 5 health? Do we go for the cart, which is a shop where we can spend our coins? Or do we go for the chest, which just contains a random equipment? Or item, I think. What up, baby squid? I mean, that's 4. Generally, I think good advice is just to reroll for the highest value you can. So if it's odd, it triggers. If it's even, it triggers. So now I'm blind on 1 dice, which means I cannot see the value. So if this is saying it needs to be a 6 to do the extra effect, and I put it in, it's going to say I don't get to find out what the damage is until I commit to it, and I don't get to know whether it's a 6 or not. Turns out it was a 5. There we go, we got lucky. Oh, double sixes. But they're not odd, so they can't use that second ability. They can, however, use that one twice. There we go. Boomerang. Do 2 times to the enemy, but 1 times to yourself. So if we roll a 6, we would do 12 to them, but 6 to us. Spiked shield, maximum 5. Where it's got maximum, it means you can only put that many in there. So I can only put a max of 5 in there. If it's even, so 2 and 4, then I deal 4 damage, or 2 to 4 damage. If it's odd, so 1, 3, or 5, then I get a shield for that much. A shield is basically a temporary to that turn amount of damage that I will resist. Let's see what's in the chest. Bump, dice value +1. So if I put a 5 dice in there, then I'll get a 6 dice back. If I put a 6 dice in there, then I get a 6 dice and a 1 dice. So I got first aid kit, target shield, iron shield. First aid kit seems pretty useful. There is a limit to our inventory, which we will come up to shortly. Alright, let's Fury. We deal 12 damage, poison for 4. And let's reroll, see what we can get. So let's do 6, because we can't put 6 in the spiked shield, and we'll do 5, and have 5 in our shield. So we block 5 incoming damage. So, Frozen, if you have 1 Frozen on you, it means it turns your highest dice into a 1. So if you rolled a 6, it's now a 1. Which is not great, but one of the reasons why rerolls are so useful. Okay, let's do 5 damage and 4 damage. Alright. Level 3. So it's vacuum or a pirate. Apple cart, haunted jar. Plenty of stuff going on. Let's go for the vacuum. Proper Henry Hoover, that one. We gotta be careful. Okay, so because this is a max 5, I can't use it. Which means I have to reroll. And there we go. So I'm now blinded on 2 dice. In which case I'm going to go for what I know does damage. And then I'm just going to commit. Even if you reroll, you're still blinded, I think. Yes. So that was a 3. And that was a 4. Blinded again, and we get drained for 2. That was a 4, that was a 2, and that's a 3. So a fairly simple gameplay loop. We can heal ourselves on these. See what's at the shop. Spend your coins here, there's literally nowhere else. Well, that's a fair enough point. I think I'm good for equipment at the moment. If we go here, we can upgrade one of our equipments. Come in, I love your outfit. You look really intentional. Have you met Rose yet? So dapper, I really think you get on. I think Rose was the woman at the start. Alright, so we can choose one of these to upgrade. So we could upgrade this so there's no longer the max. So we can have 1 through 6. If we upgrade this, then we always do at least 1 damage, or at least 2 damage, I guess. Because it's dice +1. And if we upgrade our Toxic Ooze, then it adds 1 more to the poison. I think it makes the most sense to upgrade our Spiked Shield. Because if we get stuck with 3 6s and no rerolls, we just won't be able to use it. Haunted Jar is strong against poison. Alright, so I'm probably not going to waste my poison on it. that. Let's do a shield, and let's attack. So for these, where it has 24, if they commit as many dice as they can to that, and when it finally reaches 0, that's when it triggers. Alright, let's do 4 and 4, and get a shield of 1. And that is 10 minutes. Just about. My timer broke, but we got there. So we'll get to the end of this combat, and then we'll call it. Almost there. 5. We're going to Fury. Do 10 damage. And that's the combat. So yeah, that was Dicey Dungeons, at least the first 10 minutes or so of it. There's, from what I can tell, very little story. It's mostly just, you are a dice, you are fighting in this dungeon for one reason or another, just have fun. Which I think is a good enough game premise. It's not trying to have the best of both worlds, it's just putting you in a situation where you can have fun, which I think is good. Very similar to something like FTL, for instance, where there's no story other than just the story of how you got from floor 1 to floor 10 or 20 or whatever it is. There's, I think, 6 dice in total, and I want to say there's a fairly good modding community for this as well. The art style's fairly unique, very cartoonish, but I think it works. And if you're a fan of RNG, then it's all dice-based, literally. So you're probably going to have a good enough time. If I'd give this rating, I'd say 3 out of 5. It's good. Very little story. It's RNG. It's probably more for a niche market than a general one. But it's fun. So I'd very much recommend it. And with that, thank you for watching.